is pregnant. So, we need to get a divorce.
Suddenly, my husband showed up at home with his mistress. And then, he started demanding a divorce. To be honest, our marriage had been on the rocks for a long time. I no longer loved my husband who never helped with the kids or chores and always went out to have fun.
All right, here's the divorce papers. I'm taking everyone except our eldest son with me.
I handed over the papers and declared this to my husband. Then, he blurted out something shocking.
What? Take the eldest son too.
I couldn't believe my ears.
That's impossible because this child is.
Upon confronting him with the truth, my husband was taken aback and fell to his knees. My name is Mary, and I'm 51 years old. I'm a housewife. I married Robert 14 years ago. We were introduced through mutual friends. I used to work as a web designer for a website development company, and I was so devoted to my work that I hadn't dated anyone in years. Concerned about me, a friend introduced us. Robert was friendly and a very talkative person. Having never really dated before, I enjoyed spending time with him and thought I could build a happy family with him. However, the journey to marriage wasn't easy. Robert was divorced and had a child. Apparently, his ex-wife had left him with the child, and he had been working while taking care of the kid. When I discussed this with family and friends, they were all against the marriage.
You're gonna have a tough time once you're married.
Everyone said the same thing. But for me, this barrier also only inflamed my love. I felt like I needed to support Robert, a single father. From then on, I met Robert's eldest son, Mike, quite often.
Mike, what do you want to do today?
I don't want to hang out with you.
Do you want to eat something? I can make anything you like.
I don't want it.
Mike didn't like me at all. I wondered if I was not fit for parenting since I had no experience. Whenever I felt insecure, Robert always comforted me.
It's okay. Mike will understand someday. Thank you for thinking about my son so deeply.
Hearing him say that made me happy, and I was okay, even if Mike rejected me.
When we're married, I'll love him as if he's my own child.
I'm glad I met someone like you who loves Mike too.
Looking back, maybe I was too smug, thinking I was Robert's rock. Then, 6 months into our relationship, I found out I was pregnant, and we got married. The next year, I gave birth to our daughter, Lily, and then our son, Jake. I became a mother of 3. With 2 kids coming in quick succession, I was swamped with parenting duties. However, my dear husband didn't help at all.
Mary, Jake is crying.
Can you calm him down for a moment? I'm a bit tied up right now.
Me? Nah, he wants his mom.
Even when I was busy with Lily, he'd carelessly hand over a crying Jake and go on his phone. He would come home late, often drunk. And on his days off, he'd go out early and come back in the evening. We hardly had any time to talk as a couple. Every day, I'm swamped without even a moment to rest, looking after the kids. The stress just keeps piling up.
Can you help out a bit?
What? I'm exhausted from work. What's someone who's at home all day talking about? Isn't taking care of the kids a woman's job?
I couldn't believe it. I wouldn't have married him if I knew he was like this. I feel deceived. But thinking of the newborn children, I couldn't easily get a divorce. Looking after my restless second son, who wouldn't stay still, and my eldest daughter going through those times. Still, I tried my best to be a good mother. My eldest son, Mike, kept his distance and hardly spoke to me. I'd wake him up for elementary school, feed him breakfast, but we'd hardly communicate. I was already overwhelmed with the younger kids, leaving no time to attend to Mike. Fast forward a few years. When Mike hit middle school, he got into his rebellious age.
Mike, are you done with your homework or just reading comics?
Shut up.
I'm saying this because I care about you.
That's why it's so damn annoying. Stop playing the mom card.
Whenever he'd throw hurtful words, I'd try to be patient. But when he wouldn't listen, I'd reach out to my husband.
Could you please say something to Mike? He's always out playing, not studying. He won't listen to a word I say. Is it because of adolescence?
It's probably because of how you raised him. He's like this because you let him do whatever he wanted.
Excuse me? From someone who never helped and was always out.
You think I was just out playing?
He stood up furious.
It's not about that. You're always out drinking and never help out when I need you.
I have work commitments, you know. This is all part of my job. And yet you complain while living off my paycheck.
I couldn't say a word. I had quit my job because taking care of the kids was a full-time job. I was only getting the bare minimum for household expenses from him. We were always scraping by. I had no money of my own to spend. So, whenever money came up, I was left speechless. Yet, Mike's behavior worsened, sometimes not coming home until late at night. I worried he might go down a wrong path. Despite my best efforts to persuade both him and my husband, no one would listen. It seemed like my husband and I fought daily. And gradually, he started coming home less and less. This went on for years. I had passed 50, and Mike was in his senior year of high school. I had hoped once his rebellious phase ended, we'd understand each other, but reality was different. Either he'd ignore me, or respond with hurtful words. We couldn't have a decent conversation. The relationship with my husband was falling apart. Then, one day, my husband brought home a young woman.
Who is this?
I got my girlfriend, who's 20 years younger than me, pregnant. I want a divorce.
He knelt down as he said this. Honestly, I knew for a while that he had been seeing someone, so I wasn't surprised. But bringing her to our family home was something I couldn't comprehend. The other woman smiled warmly at me.
Nice to meet you. I'm Amy.
I was impressed that she could smile even though she knew she was having an affair. Turns out she's 35, a whole 20 years younger than my husband. She's wearing a pretty revealing outfit and very heavy her makeup. She looks nothing like me, with my increasing wrinkles.
Look, I don't see you as a woman anymore and I want to be responsible for Amy's child, so, sorry, but I want a divorce.
I'd reached my limit with these two selfish people. I had been patient for the sake of our kids and our life together, but I no longer have any love for my husband. While I was struggling, he was out having fun all the time. I decided to get back at him and show him the hardships he caused. Unusually, my husband was begging, and I simply nodded in agreement.
All right.
Wait, seriously?
He was shocked, probably because I agreed so quickly.
Of course. Here's the divorce papers. I'll be taking everyone except Mike.
My words puzzled my husband.
What? Take Mike too.
I couldn't believe what he was saying.
I can't. He's your child from your previous wife, right? We're not blood related, and we've never been close.
Why should I care? You said you loved him like he was your own.
Yes, I did. I've always treated him like he was part of the family. I never treated him differently from the other kids and did my best to care for him.
Then, you should take responsibility till the end.
At that, the other woman piped in.
Yeah, true, I can't be a mother to a high schooler. You should take care of him.
I knew Mike was at home and could probably hear this. He's in his rebellious phase and hasn't been close, but this is just too much.
He's the child you had with your previous wife. Take care of him.
What? You're so cold-hearted.
Who's the cold-hearted one? You never cared for him and left him with me. If you're saying you won't take care of him, then I won't divorce you.
He scratched his head annoyed. And finally sighed heavily.
All right, fine. I'll take care of Mike.
Ugh. I can't be a mother to such an older kid.
Sorry, but it's just a few more years. Bear with it.
Fine, but you have to buy me the new bag from my favorite brand.
With a smirk, he agreed, and they started being kinky right in front of me. I handed over the divorce papers.
Can you sign these quickly? I need them for tomorrow.
All right, all right. You're always in such a hurry.
He grumbled as he signed. I took the signed papers and carefully put them in my purse.
By the way, how are you gonna manage after the divorce? You don't have a job or a place to stay, and the kids, they're gonna have it tough, huh?
He smirked. He probably thinks I'm just a housewife with no savings.
Thanks for the concern, but I have a job.
What? You started working. But it's probably just some part-time gig, right? You can't live off of that.
It's not part-time. I've gone back to my web design job. I can work from home with just my laptop, and I made over $3,000 last month. We'll be fine.
Huh.
He looked defeated. I used the savings from when I worked a few years ago to buy a computer. Then I started working as a web designer from home. Originally, I had experience, so I got work right away and was saving up in case I ever decided to get divorced. The reason I could file for divorce so easily was because I had prepared for it all along. All the while, looking down on my husband, thinking he had the upper hand, I smirked at him.
Anyway, are you guys okay?
With what?
Child support. I'll be expecting you to pay for Lily and Jake until they're adults.
My husband grimaced. It's his responsibility since they're his kids too. Just because we're getting divorced doesn't mean he can abandon his parental duties.
We can discuss the amount through a lawyer later, but I'm thinking it'll be about $400 a month for both of them.
$400 a month? That's way too much.
What are you talking about? Right now they're in middle school and they need money for extracurricular activities and tutoring. Do you think food and utilities are the only things I need money for? That's actually not that much.
How much do they really need?
He probably doesn't know because he never bothered with our finances. Lily and Jake, who are both in sports teams, need quite a bit of money for shoes, uniforms, and practice gear. Not to mention, they have travel expenses for games. Even $200 per kid per month might stretch their budget.
By the way, your girlfriend knows about this, right? What?
I smirked at his mistress.
Alimony. You've been having an affair for years, so I'll be expecting alimony. Not sure until I talk to a lawyer, but I hear it's around $3,000, so brace yourself. What? I didn't know anything about this. You think you're excused just because you're over 30 and claim to be clueless? By the way, I have solid evidence, so playing dumb won't help.
When he didn't come home, I had hired a private investigator and got evidence of his affairs. I knew about his mistress from back then, and I even have pictures. There's no escaping from this. Especially when she's already expecting his child. But she seemed to refuse to acknowledge this, and in a panicked voice she yelled,
I don't have that kind of money. No savings either. I'm having a baby soon. I don't care. If you can't pay, ask your boyfriend right next to you.
His mistress grabbed his shoulder, shaking him.
You'll pay for me, right?
I've got my hands full with child support. You pay the alimony.
Why? You're the one with the job. Just pay it.
I spent it all on gifts for you. How much do you think all those gifts cost?
Seriously? I didn't sign up for a broke guy.
Their mood was a far cry from the cozy atmosphere when they arrived. Looks like she was in it for the money. Otherwise, why would she date a middle-aged man in his 50s? While it was my husband's fault for pursuing another woman while still married to me, his mistress is just as guilty for continuing the affair. I couldn't let her off the hook.
After all, you said you'd take care of me, buy me whatever I wanted. That's why I thought of marrying you. I don't know anything about alimony. I'm not paying. You can refuse, but I'll consult my lawyer. See you in court?
As soon as I mentioned the word court, she stood up in a panic.
No way. I don't want to get into debt over this old man and become a stepmom to a college kid. I'm leaving.
Wait, please.
She grabbed her bag and rushed out of the front door. My husband tried to hold her back, but with a strong push, he ended up falling on his butt. It was quite a comical sight.
Oh dear, she's gone now, huh?
That's not the point. This is all your fault. Look what happened.
He stood up, visibly irritated.
You lay a hand on me and I'll call the cops.
You, ever since earlier, acting all high and mighty. Divine punishment will fall upon you for ruining this marriage.
I burst out laughing at his words.
Divine punishment? Well, you'll probably receive one for neglecting me and our family.
He remained silent, glaring at me. I'm sure he still hasn't fully grasped the situation. I decided to share another shocking revelation with him.
Just so you know, Mike's college tuition is due this week.
What?
I mean, he's starting college in spring, right? If you don't pay the tuition, he won't be enrolled. Isn't it your responsibility to look after Mike's expenses?
At this, he looked baffled. My husband, having neglected our eldest for so long, probably had no clue about where he was headed for college, or about the tuition either.
How much is it, anyway?
It's a private university, so around $10,000.
$10,000. There's no way I can afford that.
Oh, and that's just the first year's fee. It'll be around $8,000 annually for tuition and facility fees thereafter. You'll have to figure it out.
You've got to be kidding.
I went to a state college and had no idea about the tuition fees of private universities, so this came as a surprise to me. My husband, also graduated from a state university, probably hadn't expected it to be this costly.
Why'd you let him apply to a college that admits anyone with money?
It's not my fault. I told Mike to study, but he wouldn't listen. And you didn't help when I begged you to talk with him.
That doesn't mean you can just enroll him in any expensive college. I won't accept this.
Then talk to Mike about it. He's the one who decided to go there.
With that, my husband fell silent. He probably doesn't know how to talk to Mike, since he was not engaging with him much. But I have no intention of worrying about the two of them.
Well, we'll pack our things and leave now.
As I stood up, he suddenly tried to stop me.
Wait. Let's try again.
What are you talking about?
I've reconsidered. For the kids, it's better if we don't divorce.
He looked serious. But I knew he was likely trying to avoid child support and alimony.
You just don't want to pay, right? No way. I can't live with you.
Why not? I've broken up with the other woman and won't cheat again. Let's give it another shot.
It's a definite no.
There's no way I could live with someone who neglects his family, gallivants around, and gets a woman 20 years younger pregnant.
You seem to be mistaken. I didn't agree to the divorce just because you asked for it.
Then why?
I've wanted a divorce for a long time. It was only because I had no money that I couldn't go through with it. Now that I've saved up, it's the perfect time. Even if you hadn't mentioned it, I would have.
No way.
He was speechless. Did he actually think I still loved him after all he'd done? I am not a saint to live my husband who has done such terrible things to me.
But the kids would surely prefer having both parents around. Divorce has a bad influence on their upbringing.
It was when my husband said that. Having listened to our conversation, our eldest daughter and second son came rushing out of their rooms.
I don't want to live with a dad like this.
Me neither. Lily. Jake. How can you say that to your own father?
The kids stood by me, glaring at their father.
Don't act like a dad when you've done nothing so far. People like you who cheat all the time are just gross.
I don't even want to think of someone like you as my dad. If I have to be with you, I'd rather live just with Mom, it'd be way better. You guys.
It seemed my husband was more shocked than angry. He stood there, mouth agape, in disbelief.
Just because they're kids doesn't mean they're clueless. They see what adults do, and they can judge right from wrong. Do you really think they still like you just because you're their father?
Okay, I messed up, please forgive me. I'll do anything. I'll buy you whatever you want, and I'll take you out.
We don't want any of that.
I don't even want to see your face.
At the kids' words, my husband finally knelt down. Maybe he thought middle schoolers like them could still be bribed with things. If so, he's really underestimated them. The kids have known since elementary school how tough things have been for me. They're thoughtful like that. They won't forgive him easily. We packed our things and left without a word to my slouched husband. In the end, we got divorced. Now, he's probably struggling with paying alimony and child support. Turns out, his affair partner had a baby, so he's paying child support there too. Considering he'll have to pay child support until the child becomes an adult, he might even continue payments after retirement. He might have been drawn to a younger woman, but he really did a stupid thing. Also, probably because he never did any chores, I heard his house is a mess. He can't even do laundry properly. He wears wrinkled shirts over and over, and people at work and neighbors are getting annoyed. Having been abandoned by both his kids and his affair partner, with no one left to rely on and no money to spend, he's become a shell of a man, from what I hear. But it's no longer my concern. And so, we started our new life.
Lily. Jake. You'll be late for middle school.
Coming.
Both grabbed their bags and ran to the entrance.
Mike. You'll be late too if you don't hurry up.
Yeah. Stop nagging.
Mike, our eldest son, also dressed in a suit, headed for the door. The day we decided to divorce and were packing our stuff to leave, Mike was standing in the hallway. He must have been listening the whole time. I couldn't leave him there, so I approached and asked,
What do you want to do?
After some contemplation, Mike decided to come with me. Honestly, paying for Mike's college was tough. But he's a victim too. Having his own parent not wanting him, it must have been incredibly hard for him. His rebellion during his student years was largely due to the family environment. A dad who was always out having fun and not coming home. And me, too busy taking care of the younger kids to give him any attention. He must have felt so alone during those times when he just wanted to be coddled. I couldn't leave him behind. When we got to the new apartment, Mike mentioned quitting college.
You don't have to pay for tuition. I'll earn the money.
While I was happy about Mike's decision, to be honest, I don't think he can get a decent job with just a high school diploma. So, I made a suggestion to him.
Why don't you try learning programming?
Programming.
Yes, with the rise of the digital age, I believe if you know programming, you won't have trouble finding a job. Study hard for a year and then try getting a job. I'll cover all your living expenses till then.
Hearing this, he surprisingly took my advice to heart and studied diligently. In just 6 months, he became skilled enough to get work, and this year, he was hired as a full-time employee. Kids in suits and uniforms are causing a ruckus at the entrance.
Don't you talk to your mom like that. That's not right.
Anyone who complains won't get a ride in my car.
It's a joke. Give me a ride. Mike, drive safely.
Lily and Jake used to be afraid of Mike and wouldn't even speak to him. But now, they've grown quite fond of him. After putting on their shoes, the 3 of them turned and looked at me.
We're off.
With that, they left the house. I never thought I'd see this day. It finally feels like Mike is truly a part of the family. I made a promise to myself to do my best for my children's happiness.